Hello everyone, my name is AnnickMagac. I'm an Amazon best-selling author, a motivational speaker, and a coach. Thank you, Misty, for sharing. I want to talk to you guys about perfection and creation. This has been a big thing that's been on my mind recently. To give you guys a little bit of a background on myself, if you don't know, I always introduce myself as an author, a speaker, and a coach. Awesome, cool, Gary. And my real background, or I should say my earliest background, actually is in design. And I'm trained as a furniture and interior designer. And that is what I went to school for. And I was in the creative industry for a number of years. So process and creativity are a big part of my life. And as a creator, whether that has been physically with my hands or creating a business or creating coaching with people in my book, and it's just a huge part of who I am, creativity. But perfection is something that is a hot topic that I'm always talking about and I'm always getting asked about. And I specifically get asked about this when I do my speaking engagements, because one thing, if somebody can admit it, they'll kind of raise their hand and be like, okay, so what about perfection? How do I get over being perfect? Whew. Guys, that is a heavy, heavy topic. Perfection is not something that is easily conquered, and it's something that I deal with daily. I always think that I'm getting a handle on it, and then I'll get blindsided by perfection kind of coming up and hitting me over the head. So this week I posted a blog called Perfection and Creation, and I related a story about when I was early in my career and I was working for an electromechanical engineering firm doing product development. Sounds totally crazy. In life, we're on a crazy journey as to what we do and what we get involved in, but in the end, it all interlinks, and my past catches up with me all the time, and I'm sure you guys experience this as well. So, and if you have any questions while I'm talking about any of this, please feel free to tap in. Let me know with the hearts whether or not you like what I am talking about. So, when I was working, we had this designer come in who was awesome. Not only was he incredibly handsome, but he was incredibly talented designer. Now, if you are working with anybody who has customers, like I know we've got a web designer here, so I know that she's got a bunch of customers, and I'm not sure what all of you do, but please let me know at some point because I would love to hear that. But we all have to deal with hiring somebody at a certain point or working for other people. So when we had this designer come in, and I'm not going to give his name, and one of the reasons why this actually came up, this whole story anyway, was that I was working on a design project this weekend, which was a little bit out of character, which you could hear more about in my newsletter. But what ended up, I found out, is I wrote this blog actually a couple months ago, and I just found out on Monday that the designer that I'm talking about passed away last week, which is really unfortunate. And I don't want to say who the name is, because this story is one of struggle. It is one of learning a lesson and also knowing, I know, right? That, let me back up. All right. So, he would come in, and now I'm telling you, he was so awesome. This guy was just amazing. He'd come in, and he was foreign. And so sometimes, you know, you kind of have your background stories with some of your coworkers where there's certain clients that maybe you make a little bit fun of, and we most certainly made fun of this designer because he'd come in and he'd be discussing his project, and we'd be going over it and figuring out, okay, you know, how can we put his idea and make it physical? And so he, as a designer, would create this design. We would come in and say, okay, you can manufacture it like this, or we think we could build it like X, Y, and Z. We'd help him with that process. Some designers only design, some only build. You know, there's design and build, but he was getting very high tech, so he was needing assistance in that whole process. All right. So he'd always say, he'd get excited about his projects, and then he'd always be like, but do you like it? But do you like it? And every time he would say it, it became this internal joke that we would be giggling and giggling and giggling, like, oh my God, he just said it again. Do you like it? And it was funny. But in retrospect, it said a lot about who he was, and it also made us incredibly uncomfortable because this gentleman was so talented. There was no doubt that we were going to like it. It was no doubt that we were going to be blown away and amazed by what he wanted to create. However, he was a perfectionist, and he was also insecure about putting his work out in the world, and it was really hard. And it's hard for anybody who creates to put their work out in the world. There's always going to be some doubt that comes up. For instance, I'm on Periscope. The doubt is, okay, I hope that my audience understands what I'm saying. I hope it's relevant to them. I hope that they appreciate and like what I'm saying. Otherwise, if they don't, that would really suck. And for me, it would be like, I wouldn't feel really good about that if it wasn't delivering on some level for you. So I understand. And as a designer myself, and as somebody who creates, and I'm sure you guys all know this, that it's just really hard to put your work out there. It really is, because when you put your work out into the world, it invites criticism. It invites all these things that we might necessarily want to deal with. And it also puts us in an incredibly vulnerable position. So when this designer was always like, do you like it? We would chuckle and we'd make fun of him, and we thought it was hilarious, but deep down it was because we could relate. We could relate to his insecurity. We could relate to the emotions and the feeling of putting something that you've worked so hard on and you've thought about so much in your mind and putting it out there for criticism, and just for people to come back and say, you know what, that was just stupid. I don't know why you would have chosen that material when you could have done it this way. Or, why would you ever even want to do that? And as creative people, you really have to get almost unattached from the process in a certain aspect to actually let yourself put it out there. And so when people ask me, how do I get over perfection? It's getting in this certain situation, in this specific situation of creating and putting it out there. There has to come a point where your need to create is greater than what you might possibly get back from it. So my need to create a piece of art has to be more than the fear I have of being criticized on it. And that is not easy. Last night I was watching a documentary on Netflix, and it's called Vivian Maier, or The Secret Life of Vivian Maier. It's something like that, and Maier is spelled M-A-I-E-R. This woman was a nanny to families throughout her whole life, and she was a closet photographer. And she hoarded all her photographs, and this gentleman who produces the documentary and comes into contact with her negatives through an auction. And the documentary is absolutely fascinating. It's this wonderful story about this woman. There's heartbreak, there's mystery, there's uncomfortableness, but you see this work of the woman that they show throughout the whole documentary, and her photographs are stunning. It's just, you, as soon as you're seeing them, you're like, this is high quality work, and I'm just seeing this through TV. I mean, I can only imagine what it's like to actually be in the room with the photographs and be so impacted by the visuals. And she took photographs from, I want to say, like the 40s to the 90s when she passed away. So this woman she never publicly showed her photographs. And all the people that she nannied for, they were like, yeah, she always had a camera with her and she was taking pictures or videoing us. But not a single one of them had ever seen the photographs of themselves being taken as children. They had no idea that she was actually a prolific artist. And this also goes back to that perfection and creativity. I'm certain that it was hard for her to put that work out there, for her to actually share that part of her. And the documentary talks a little bit about why she would have or would not have actually put that work out there. But it just kind of brings up this point that over and over again, hi Courtney, that we are confronted by this idea of perfection in putting our work out. And the worst thing that can happen to any of us creatively is that we don't create anything because of fear. And that fear can be that we're, okay, Courtney, people are coming in and out. I've heard it's been spotty today, so thank you for coming back in and trying. So if we can get past this tough, this is the thing about creativity, is that it's never going to be easy. There are going to be glimpses of it being easy. There's going to be parts that are really wonderful and fun, and then there's going to be parts in any project, in any portion of creativity, that are just going to stink, that middle of the project where you're up at like 10 or 11 o'clock at night working on your business, working on a blog post, creating a piece of art, and you feel like you're by yourself, you feel like no one understands what you're trying to say because you're not even sure what you want to say, and it's just hard, and you have self-doubt that comes up and all these certain things, and then you just kind of stop. But the whole thing about creativity is if you can get past that, the world really does need to know what you have to say. And you do need to share these things because the impact is unbelievable. And so I bring this back to this designer who passed away last week, because everything that I read, every obituary, every journalist that paid tribute to him spoke so highly of his work. And in my blog post that I put up 2 months ago, and I just reposted it tonight, I said the same thing about him, that, you know, his work he was truly gifted. And I just hope that deep down that he was aware of that. And for this woman, Vivian Maier, as well, that had she never put that work out, we wouldn't have been graced with this beautiful photographs. So it really is important that whatever you do, whether it is a creative endeavor in the traditional sense of art or design that you create, if it is a creative endeavor in science, business, anything like that. And when I say creativity, it spans everything to me. I truly believe that everybody is creative in their own way. Please share it because the world needs it. So that's what I'll leave you with tonight. If you like this topic, please let me know. You can always reach me at AnnickMagac. I'd also like to give you a chapter of my book for free, which you can download at AnnickMagac.com/clear free chapter. Again, AnnickMagac.com/clear free chapter. And this topic tonight, I actually spoke a lot more about in my newsletter and on my blog. So if you want to join my newsletter, I would love that. And you can find that, what could you find that? Oh, you could join by downloading the Clear Book chapter. All right? You guys have a wonderful evening. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to be with me. And you take care, and I will talk to you later. Live fearlessly, my friends. Ciao.